We have a social influencer tonight, so be ready to be influenced socially. I always enjoy when Sherman Jones is... I enjoy Sherman Jones when I'm with him, never mind when he's on the program. Who's Sherman Jones? Well, he's a local social influencer by his own label and brand. He's actually a pretty smart guy that talks to me from time to time. I see him in his place of business, and he says, get me on that show. Which is, by the way, something that's an opportunity for you. You know, we promote the show as the insiders and the outsiders, the top dogs and the everyday people of Southern New England. So if there's something that you really want to get off your chest and you want to come in here and you want to talk to me about it, you simply have to let us know by calling us at that State of Mind number that we'll show you coming up in just a second. How are you? It's great to have you in. Thank you very much for tuning in to My State of Mind tonight. Now on MyRA TV, of course, at 7:30 and 11:30, and on Fox Providence at midnight. Make a note of that. In the meantime, before we go to our social influencer to talk about important things going on in the world, let us check in on the rundown and other things that are going on. Yeah, Mr. Trump, as he was called by the PGA of America only 3 months ago when they announced a new deal with him, just got whacked by the PGA of America. Here's the headline. Yep, the PGA pulls the Grand Slam golf tournament from Donald Trump's course near Los Angeles. Why do you think this is? Well, it's because, A, he made some sloppy, in my judgment, comments about Mexicans and immigration problems, and also because he's running for the presidency of the United States. And you know what the big deal is here? You talk about Mr. Trump, as PGA called him. By the way, there's just some, old video of Mr. Trump. You know what he said about the Mexicans, right? So we don't have to, or the Mexican government, or the best of the Mexican population, immigration, and using the word rapist and all that kind of stuff. Listen, we got a big problem in America right now. And it's that the higher the platform and the more that's at stake, the more narrow the avenue of free speech we have. So he has been dissed, so to speak, by Univision, NBC, over the Miss Universe thing, Macy's, now PGA of America, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come because when this stuff starts to steamroll, it just gets out of control. I'm not sure that he's going to be deeply financially damaged by this, but the country is damaged by this. Not because I agree with what Donald Trump said, but because anybody now who uses a little bit of freedom of speech now has to pay the financial price for it or the high-level political cultural price for it. When you say, oh, well, I understand because he said those things about the Mexicans, A, you're being intellectually lazy, and B, you're feeding into this phenom, which is that anybody that's got something provocative to say better not run for high office, because all we want is robots running for high office. It's a big dilemma in America today. We should talk more about it. Bye-bye. You're gone. He got in the car this morning. Here's the WPRI.com headline. Gordon Fox, the former Speaker of the House in Rhode Island, is, well, he's probably in Pennsylvania because he left very early this morning at 5:30. We have some pictures of him getting out of the house. I'm not sure he expected the TV cameras to be rolling when he left the house, but, media stakes out these kinds of things, You remember that he had a lot of crying towel things to say on the courthouse steps back when he was sentenced to his 3 years in a federal penitentiary in Pennsylvania. And you may not have seen this. The U.S. Attorney, Peter Nerona, who prosecuted him, was on my show a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him whether he emoted with Gordon Fox. Did you have a reflection on the news coverage of this conviction and all of this emoting?
Not really, no. No, not really.
Means nothing to you.
When you reach the end of the road, I was pleased that Judge Lisi, imposed a 3-year sentence. I thought that was the right sentence. I wanted to thank everybody for a job well done, and as I know that bothers you, but we were prepared to move on.
Now, the one thing that I thought that Peter Nerona has been saying throughout this entire process is, look, guys like that who are going away better not come back in a few years thinking they can run again. He's really serious about that stuff.
This is the public corruption amnesia that I think we have in this state. That, I'm all for, former politicians getting out of jail and going to work and living productive lives, and I wish them well. But you only get one chance to hold the public trust. You get one chance. If you betray that trust, you don't get a second chance. We can do a lot better than going back to people who violated it once.
Okay, so Gordon will be back in 3 years, and we wish him well, but we don't wish him to be elected again. That's for sure. All right, the missing money. This is brand new. ThePatch.com has this headline. The Newport Daily News was also on this this week. Newport Police Union finances under scrutiny over missing money. What? Missing money? Now, this is not public money. This is union money, according to the good mayor of Newport, who talked to Gene Valicente on the WPR Morning News this morning.
We were apprised a few weeks ago, and I'm speaking the council, that there's potentially an issue here. However, they wanted them to resolve it within the FOP because it's their funds. It's not something controlled by the city. The only thing that really has come to my attention is that there were questions among the membership and that they have requested an audit. They've hired a firm, and they're going to move forward on it.
Seems like the rank and file, or at least members of that police department, are disgruntled with the way the union leadership is responding to the requests about an accountability for that money, and there's some infighting going on that the police chief has kind of referred to. So that looks like we've got a little bit of a mess in Newport. We'll have to keep our eyes on that one. Speaking of a mess, really, and I didn't even know, is that how you spell Quaaludes? I guess I tried to write it 3 times today. I couldn't figure out how to spell Quaaludes. Never taken any, so why would I know how to spell? Anyway, CNN.com says the cause certainly has lots of experience with the Quaaludes, and here's CBS report on that.
After a decade of denials, here are Bill Cosby's own words from a deposition he gave in a sexual assault suit filed in 2005. In it, a lawyer asked Cosby about a 19-year-old unnamed accuser. Cosby says, "She meets me backstage. I give her Quaaludes. We then have sex. If anything, I think she may very well have been very happy to be around the show business surroundings." The lawyer asks, "Starstruck?" Cosby replies, "You'll have to ask her." The lawyer asked, "When you got the Quaaludes, was it in your mind that you were going to use these Quaaludes for young women that you wanted to have sex with?" "Yes," Cosby replies. She asks, "Did you ever give any of those young women the Quaaludes without their knowledge?" Cosby's lawyer objected repeatedly throughout the deposition.
It looks like it's game, set, match for Mr. Huxtable, right? What's to be determined is how many of these women from across the country who have made these claims against Bill Cosby, how much traction this particular 2005 deposition will have for them. You know, the civil opportunities there are a little different. The statute of limitations, not the same. Criminally, it's 10 years. So we'll have to keep an eye on what this deposition actually means for Mr. Cosby legally. But in the court of public opinion, it's nice knowing you. All right. And finally, there are some tourism proposals that our state government would like to see. Did you see the headline here in the Journal today? The perfect pitch. We've been through this song and dance before, but every new administration wants to put out the opportunity for people to tell us about how we can market Rhode Island. And I will tell you that this is a $5 million plan. I'm not exactly sure what the cut they're expecting is to the company that actually produces the $5 million marketing plan, advertising plan, promotional plan for the state of Rhode Island. But I don't want to be a party pooper here, but I fail to see so far the demonstrative change and the marketability that the state needs to bring to the table to say, hey, guess what? There's some brand new cool stuff here. A couple of business credits in the budget doesn't do it for me, but that's just me. We'll see, and we'll try to bring these folks in and kind of figure out what's going on once the proposals are in, of course. Your state of mind is important to us. As I told you, if you've got something you want to say, you want to appear on the program, you can let us know at that number as well. If you have something to say that you want to hear on the air, you just let us know at that number as well, 228-1886. You can email me at stateofmind@myritv.com. Of course, it's at Dan York Show on Twitter, Facebook, Dan York Show. Here's a tweet regarding, I guess we had tweeted out that we were going to talk about the Confederate flag, and we will with our social influencer and other issues. But this particular gentleman writes, "Flag nonsense is another sign that the apocalypse is upon us. Ask your guests about Confederate officers' graves being dug up." I'm not exactly sure what the relationship between those two concepts is. I mean, 9 people who lost their lives at the AME Church in Charleston, and a couple of wackos over time that have dug up Confederate graves, and I researched that. They happened once in 2014 and it happened in 2012. That kind of commentary is not helpful to America's "can't we get along?" We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay with us. We just picked this subject matter out of a hat. I mean, this is a contemporary situation right now. The House in South Carolina state government is about to make a very important vote because its brother assembly there, sister assembly, just made a very important one last night. Here's the headline. The Senate says we're removing that Confederate flag. By the way, that vote was 37-3. So clearly the shooting at the church has had a dramatic impact. Here's a little breakout for you.
The Confederate flag still flies outside South Carolina's state capitol while lawmakers debate whether it should come down.
Aye. Mr. Bright.
State senators gave final approval this morning to remove it, but the bill must still be debated and voted on in the House. Reverend Jesse Jackson visited protesters calling for the flag's removal Monday night. Today, he's meeting with the governor to talk about moving forward.
There's a lot of hate left, but there's more hope and healing.
Governor Nikki Haley promises to sign the bill if and when it reaches her desk.
Sherman Jones reappears on the program. You describe yourself as a social influencer.
Absolutely, sir, absolutely.
Which means?
Which means basically someone has to be the person to spread information that's more positive than negative. We have so many people that are promoting negativity that until someone speaks up and say it's okay to address this issue in a positive manner, we won't have any change.
This specific issue, but I mean in general, you got a lot of opinions.
Well, this specific issue is grounded on we need to stop the hate in the South. My family's from North Carolina, and in the Carolinas, there are some of the good old boys that want to do things the way they used to do things 40 years ago, 50 years ago, which is just not right, and it's just not fair. The Confederate flag, you have a right as a human being to fly whatever flag you want. However, if the government is showing representation of the Confederate flag, then it looks to people that don't have the knowledge of it that they support the negativity. It says that the Southern politicians want to keep segregation. They want to keep their foot in the backs of people that suffered. That's what it says to people that don't have the information that they need to be able to go further than a flag. And the reason I say...
Here's what I'm moved by in this story. I'm moved by the incredible holiness of the families of the victims of that AME church. I am moved by the loving response, which has turned the worst evil act I've seen in a long time on our soil by an independent person.
Well, they are social. They are social influencers. Those people in the church
would never. If those people had reacted understandably angrily, we would never see this today. Do you agree?
Well, yes, but if they had have acted angrily, what that does is that shows that they weren't godly. See, this is a God thing. This thing had to do, that young kid was influenced by someone that wasn't godly. He didn't wake up and when he was born and say, I want to be this killer of these people. This kid has been given information that's wrong about people in general. We all want the same things in life. We want happiness. We want love. We want success. We want to be able to be heard. However, there are a group of people, and I say a group of people that are different colors. You got white people and you got black people that both perpetuate the same thing. You got some white people that says, oh, well, black people can't be this, black people are untrustworthy, but then you've got black people that says all white people are bad. Well, all black men aren't my friend and all white men aren't my enemy. However, you got good, you got bad. What that gentleman did in the church, he was just an instrument. He was an instrument. God allowed that to happen for other things to happen. And by them forgiving that individual, they forgave that individual, and they had to, because that's what God says. God says we have to forgive those who do wrong. And it has nothing to do with religion. What some people think, they think religion is God, and it's not. God is that inner spirit that tells me that I have to love you. God is that inner spirit that says, I got to feed you. But then you've got a group of people out here, they got a ton of money. They wouldn't give a person a dime. You got a group of people that wouldn't feed a hungry person. You got a group of people that sit back in public and they'll be like, yeah, I like all people. Everybody is equal. But behind closed doors, when they get with their counterparts, they're just as racist and degrading as ever. And see, that's where it counts. It counts when me and you talk behind closed doors. That's when I'm laying next to my wife, or I'm sitting at the kitchen table with my child. Am I telling my child that all people are people, or am I telling my child, don't trust this person because of their color or because of what they're wearing?
I don't know. What are you telling them?
Oh, my daughter's, I tell her that all people are people. All people are people. We want the same thing. We bleed the same color. The sad thing is you have a group of people that are in positions to change things, and they won't. They won't.
And who are they?
Well, you have politicians that will make promises, and they don't keep their promise.
Well, let me tell you, the politicians in South Carolina, many of whom made stomping speeches about why that Confederate flag should not come down, are folding their tents. Now, what the House does tomorrow, I guess there's some more conservative voices in that House, but when the Senate won 37-3, and the governor, who made fun of her opponent, who suggested the Confederate flag should come down during the campaign, reacted the way she did, there is no doubt a spirit of change that's happening in that state. Last word on that one.
That governor, I had seen her on TV. You know what she said the first time? I'm not taking that flag down. I'm not doing this to my people.
I know.
When she said my people, she made it very clear that she's part of the problem. And then all of a sudden, when she got pressure, I'm gonna take it down now, but rewind the tape. Which way are you going now? You know what, in public eye, yes, I'm gonna take it down. But in her heart, she don't wanna take it down. You know why? Think like this. I think like this. If a person has been subject to hurting people and benefiting from hurting other people, and now they can't hurt the people, and if they don't hurt them, they can't benefit, they ain't happy with that.
You don't think there's a little bit of God spirit that entered the governor?
Oh, listen, she had no choice. She didn't have no choice. And a lot of us are not going to have any choice because it's going to come down.
So are you suggesting with your positivity that you're not giving her the benefit of the doubt, that she's finally seen the light?
What I'm telling you is walk the talk. If she can walk what she talks, then she's doing it. See, we can all say, I'm this nice person, but are we really a nice person? I mean, my thing is like, I know.
Well, according to you, she's damned if she does, damned if she doesn't. I mean, what is she supposed to do? I mean, she made the move and she became, whether you believe it's authentic or just a focus of political momentum, she did what she had to do, correct?
She had to save her face because she knew she was wrong. There are people that know they're wrong and they want to walk it, man.
Sherman wants to talk about Chicago for a second, and we'll do that when we come back. Stay with us. What I fail to remember sometimes is when I bring Sherman on, I need more time. And then you'll react, I'm sure. You have some things on your mind about Chicago, the murders, everything else going on?
What's going on in Chicago, there was 85 shootings over the 4th of July weekend. 15 of the people, as far as I know, have passed away. In our urban cities, the police officers need to be trained to shoot to injure, not shoot to kill. The reason why they need to shoot to injure is because if they shoot to injure, they have a chance of helping these young people learn how to stop being the bad people they are. Most of these shootings are done by kids 19 and under. And that's in all the urban cities.
Did I miss something about Chicago? We don't have any. Do we have police officer shootings?
No, I'm bringing. When I brought up the police, when I say the police, because the police have to do the policing, but they're scared to do policing because of all the different cameras now. They're afraid that they're going to be arrested for doing their job if they don't do it properly. They haven't been trained to do it properly. Because if they've been trained to do it properly.
Where is your level of expertise to suggest that A, it's legitimate to actually train to shoot to hurt rather than shoot to kill? I mean, I have had many police officers and in police organizations, on my programs over the years to say you shooting to hurt will get you killed. You finally make the decision to shoot somebody as a law enforcement officer, you gotta put them out.
I don't understand how you shoot a man 8 times in the back.
Well, that's a whole
without
different conversation.
A
I
weapon.
thought
Well,
you
it's a
wanted to
different
talk about
conversation.
Chicago.
When we're talking about Chicago.
Why aren't you talking about the culture that's creating this violence?
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because let me tell you something. What's happening in Chicago, the police are not running to they're not going to these scenes until after the shooting is done. Because they're sending a message. The message is, if you're going to have me on tape killing somebody, I'm going to wait till the smoke is clear and then come there and do my job. And they're doing this all around in Chicago,
right, so
Baltimore.
what you're saying is they're rope-a-dope in the situation right now. They're just not showing up.
They're not showing up until after it's over.
They're not doing their jobs.
They're not.
They're afraid of doing their jobs.
They're afraid to do their jobs because they know if they don't do it properly, they will have to answer for it. However, in a heated situation, you have to be able to do it. I was in a movie in 1986. It's called The Case of Deadly Force.
I got a minute. Keep going.
And it showed how the Boston police shot a man in the back of the head that they said was trying to get him. Chicago, I don't have the answers, but I know somebody got to help these kids. These kids need help in Chicago, Boston, New York. These kids need help. Providence. They need help. Providence is small. Providence is at the beginning right now of like going crazy like these bigger cities. It's just they don't have anything to do. These kids need to be taught how to love. When I say taught how to love, when I went to the ACI and did a seminar, I asked how many kids, there was 25 kids in that seminar. I said, how many of you all just wanted love? All of them put their hand up but one. The answer to the problem is love, from parents, from family, and from friends.
Sherman Jones, ladies and gentlemen. One more thing and we come back. Stay with us. If you want some more Sherman Jones, likely he'll be on WPR Radio on the Dan York Show, weekdays noon to 3, maybe later this week. I'll let you know here when he's coming there. Speaking of what's going on here, the line item veto seems to be a missing concept for our governor. We'll talk about that here tomorrow night. And by the way, program now, a continuation of last night's show about the amnesty bill, 911, will be on Friday, in case you were confused. We'll see you next time on Dan York State of Mind. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, on Fox Providence, too.